Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, I'm going to be talking about the players that have impressed me so far from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2024 training camp. There's been a lot of positive things from the Bucs, both on the offensive side and the defensive side, and I basically wanted to compile some of my thoughts and my opinions in this video today, as I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of highlight videos on the channel throughout this past week. And I feel like no better place to start than with Baker Mayfield. And I know people are going to say, oh my gosh, James, giving praise to Baker Mayfield yet again. But folks, I really feel like Mayfield has shown a lot of good this year. I would even argue that Mayfield looks better this year than he did last year in terms of what I've seen from training camp. And no disrespect to Kyle Trask or John Wolford, but I feel like there is a very clear, distinct difference, in my opinion, between the play of Baker Mayfield and the play of Kyle Trask and John Wolford. It definitely has the vibe of like Baker is playing like the sure-handed starter that has been tabbed as the potential franchise quarterback of this team. He looks very confident in his throws. He's getting the ball out quickly, making all different types of throws. I will say we haven't seen a ton of deep throws throughout these training camp practices so far, but the short and intermediate game, Baker has done a very good job. He hasn't thrown a ton of interceptions. He hasn't taken a ton of sacks in practices. All in all, I've come away very impressed with Mayfield and how he's looked so far up to this point. After that, moving on to the running back position, there are a couple of guys that have been good surprises in my opinion. Firstly, I do want to mention Rachaad White. He has looked good, folks. Just to say that and get that one out of the way, because I know people are going to ask about it. And by the way, if I don't mention somebody, it doesn't mean that they are doing bad. I just want to make that clear. But some other guys that have jumped out to me at the running back position, one is Bucky Irving. I feel like Bucky Irving has shown a lot of good ability to make defenders miss and just make some plays. Right? Basically what he was doing at Oregon, I feel like he can continue to do this with the Bucs. He's been getting a decent amount of work with Baker Mayfield and the starting offense, rotating in a pretty healthy amount with Rachaad White. Part of that may also be because Chase Edmonds is currently out with, I believe it's an undisclosed injury, basically. But Bucky Irving has also shown a lot of good ability. Wow, Edmonds has been out as well. An undrafted running back I want to highlight is actually Ramon Jefferson out of Kentucky. Now, when he came along, I thought, okay, maybe this guy will make the roster. He is a former Kentucky player with Liam Cohen back whenever Liam Cohen was the head coach of Kentucky last year, and we'll see how he does. But like Ramon Jefferson definitely has showcased a lot of ability. No disrespect to the other running backs that are battling for a roster spot, but Ramon Jefferson looks to just show more agility and more speed whenever I'm seeing him out there in those individual drills, making cuts, shifting his legs. He just seems to have a lot of speed and agility to his game, which is a fun thing to see. I'm going to be curious to see how he plays in these upcoming preseason games, which we're going to be talking about in separate videos, and if he gets some opportunities in open space, because I really do feel like he's got some very notable, very solid speed to his game. In terms of the wide receiver room, Jalen McMillan, duh. I mean, like, you could argue that Jalen McMillan has been the most impressive player in training camp so far. And I know what people are going to say. James, it's shorts and t-shirts. Let's calm down. And I understand that, right? The Bucs and Bucs fans have been burned in the past with players looking very good in shorts and t-shirts. And then you have situations where players can completely disappear, right? I understand that. But the hype, I'm going to fall for it every time, right? Because the hype feels real with Jalen McMillan. You even had Baker Mayfield come out and say that this dude is legit. He's worked very, very much with the starting lineup as the third wide receiver with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Baker Mayfield, and at quarterback. Now, that can be one reason is because the Bucs already kind of view him as that wide receiver 3, possibly going forward, or the more likelier option, in my opinion, is that they want him to develop chemistry with Baker Mayfield just in case he does grow and develop into that number 3 wide receiver. But right now it may be Trey Palmer's job to lose. I don't know, but I will say that like I haven't seen Palmer too much with the starting offense, and I've seen more McMillan than Palmer running with the ones, which is notable in my opinion. So shout out to Jalen McMillan. I feel like he's done a very great job. Again, that isn't to say that Trey Palmer's done a bad job, but McMillan has shown some good work and has honestly been like the stud of training camp. Rayleigh Webb has also made a couple of really interesting plays as well, a couple of nice catches. Maybe he'll be a candidate for the bottom of the roster. I don't know. We'll see. But shout out Rayleigh Webb. The tight end position, nobody's really gone crazy, but the most consistent guy, in my opinion, in that room has actually been Devin Culp, the rookie tight end out of Washington. And I know I'm highlighting a lot of the Bucs rookie draft class here, but Devin Culp has been solid. I haven't really seen him drop any passes, and I'm not knocking these guys, but like I've seen a drop here from guys like K-Dot and Payne Durham. As far as I saw, I haven't seen Devin Culp drop a pass yet. It seems like he can be a strong vertical threat at the tight end position for the Bucs, which is possibly what they drafted him to be. So it seems like these rookies could possibly get some playing time early if things start to go their way, and they're building some early momentum for themselves in the case of Irving, McMillan, and Devin Culp in that mix as well. I can't really grade the offensive line, to be honest, because it's always tough whenever these guys aren't in pads, whenever it is live play and whatnot. I'm going to shelve those conversations for preseason games and kind of take it from there. In terms of the defensive side of things, the front seven is a bit difficult in terms of pass rushers. Like the outside edge rushing linebackers, like JTS had a would-be sack on Baker Mayfield. That was a good thing to see. Of course, the Yaya Diaby injury is not a good thing to see, but again, that's kind of stuff we're going to have to wait for preseason games before we can give like determinations and analysis on that. But inside linebacker, I feel like you can give a bit more of analysis on, and two guys that have really jumped off the page to me. One is KJ Britt, and the other is a little bit of Kalen DeLoach. I think that KJ Britt has done a fantastic job so far. He's setting the tone. He's getting scrappy with guys. He's keeping everybody on edge in a good way, like on their toes. And it's a good thing. I don't think raising the intensity in a practice is a bad thing per se. I think it helps players get more game ready. It helps them not be complacent and kind of go through the motions of a practice. And it just keeps everybody competitive, and iron sharpens iron. I think that KJ Britt is 100% going to be the second linebacker next to Levante David, and it looks like that's going to be a good decision because KJ Britt, who does have a lot to prove, by the way, going into a contract year, seems like he can be a very strong force going forward in this Bucs defense this upcoming season. And then Kalen DeLoach, he hasn't made a ton of plays here and there, but he has had like a fumble recovery, which I believe I had uploaded here on the YouTube channel. So shout out to him for that. And, he's a guy who's battling for the back half of the roster spot, and I just wanted to give him a little bit of credit there. In the secondary, there's a few guys that I can mention. You talk about Tyreek Thunderberg at cornerback. He's had a couple of nice plays. Zion McCollum won a couple of one-on-ones against Mike Evans. Jamel Dean has had some good coverage against Mike Evans as well. Like, those three cornerbacks have looked good. Bryce Hall had an interception, I believe, against John Wolford. I'm going to give him a lot of credit for that. Rashad Wisdom at safety had an interception and a forced fumble throughout a couple of practices. Tavier Thomas has been an absolute dog at nickel corner. So, like, it seems like you're starting to see more and more which cornerbacks, which members of the secondary are distinguishing themselves, and those have been the guys so far. Like, outside cornerback, the Bucs seem to have, like, four pretty decent options in Dean, McCollum as your starters. Bryce Hall is your one backup, and then Tyreek Thunderberg is your second backup. I think that Tavier Thomas at this point is going to be the starting nickel cornerback going forward, and it seems like he's going to be a pretty good starting nickel cornerback at that. And then you might have a backup safety in Rashad Wisdom in there as well. At the very least, you have a practice squad member, right? So it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff to pay attention to there. Finally, I want to give a credit to Chase McLaughlin. This dude, as far as I've seen, he's made every kick so far in camp, and that's so encouraging. That's so exciting because I myself was a little bit cautious as to whether or not Chase McLaughlin could continue his good play that he showed last year, which was far and away a career year for him. Could he continue that in year number 2? So far up to this point in practice, he has been able to continue that. So that's great signs, great encouraging signs for the Bucs that their kicker can continue his consistency and still be a force for the Bucs instead of a liability. So that's it for me, guys. What do you guys think about some of the players that I mentioned? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts and opinions about that. And also let me know some guys that you have been impressed with in training camp, just from what you've seen or heard, either from my videos that you've seen me post from highlights or from what you've seen other people say as well. Would love to get your guys' thoughts and opinions. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. As always, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.